Terrorism is a menace that needs to be rooted out. And in today's day, in today's world, data analytics might be the first line of defense in the fight against terrorism. Now I'm joined by the president of Hexagon, Mladen Stojic. Mr. Mladen, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us here on WION. Any terror attack has a planned cycle. It has certain trends, it has certain patterns. So my question to you is, what is the role of GIS and what is the role of geospatial technologies when it comes to identifying these trends? And once those trends are identified, can it actually predict terror?
Absolutely. So GIS and geospatial technologies are really at the core of understanding activities as they occur in real time. Everything has a location. So when it comes to fighting crime and really providing security solutions, it's imperative that crime analysts, intelligence agencies have an ability to understand and look back at trends, to understand what was or what occurred, to model what is by getting real-time data, whether it be through social media, whether it be through phone calls, whether it be through other forms of input, and then lastly to model what should be or what can be. So that's where we start getting into analysis, particularly spatial analysis, where we start looking at spatial trends, crime trends, right, incidents as they come in from let's say computer-aided dispatch system, from police systems. All of this sort of comes together, and location is core because everything that comes in has a location, and by understanding the location of activities, you can then start making smart decisions.
Okay, and can you give us an example of when geospatial technologies actually help in predicting terror? Is there a certain example you can give us?
Well, I can't mention specific examples offhand because some of our customers are classified, so they have our software solutions. But I can say, and it is public information, we have global organizations, police departments that use our technologies, ranging from, let's say, computer-aided dispatch systems, where call centers that receive incoming calls regarding an event or an incident occurring, they log those calls. They record an incident. Those incidents then get fed into, let's say, and dispatched to a police officer in the field, and then that police officer goes to respond to an event occurring. That's very common. And once again, location is at the core and at the center of making all that possible, because you have to know where you are in order to determine where to go and what needs to happen from there.
So what are the areas of GIS application in counter-terrorism and intelligence? Can you walk us through that?
Okay, certainly. Some of the more common applications involve, let's say, crime analysis. So we have many agencies that look at historical trends. They look at, let's say, on a given 7-day week, when do crimes occur? Typically they occur late in the evenings, okay? Where do they occur? Is there some frequency in which they occur? What type of crime occurs? All of this input basically is used as a foundation to better determine where to place police officers so that you can actually prevent crime from happening. So that's where we start getting into predictive analytics, okay, where we get business intelligence from historical data so we can actually shape smart change and actually influence a positive outcome looking forward.
India has seen its fair share of terror acts, fair share of terrorism, and Indian government has always maintained that Pakistan harbors terrorism. They are exporting terrorism. Have you worked with any Indian authorities? Has your company worked with any Indian authorities in dealing with the fight against terrorism? Are you at the liberty to discuss that?
So most recently, Hexagon has been working on 2 Dial 100 projects. Right. Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh. So these are 2 very recent activities that Hexagon has been involved with, particularly around these dial centers, right, so that when calls come in, they can be logged, they can be organized, and ultimately dispatched. Right. Officers can be dispatched in the field. We also work heavily in supporting just general mapping. So a lot of our software applications are used to produce mapping data that can ultimately be used to help fight terrorism. And that's largely used by defense and intelligence agencies.
You spoke about geospatial technology and crime analysis. Tell us about some of the products that Hexagon is working on when it comes to identifying crime, when it comes to analyzing crime. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. One product that we just recently introduced is a product called Incident Analyzer.
Right.
Okay, Incident Analyzer is an application that allows you to do two things. You can look at just data coming in from multiple sources. You can look at that data in relation to where police officers are,
right.
and you can start breaking down incidents in terms of trends. You can look at heat maps. You can look at different visual representations of crime data, of incident data, thereby allowing you to make more intelligent decisions on where to, let's say, place police officers or security officials. Because if you know what happened and if you know what was, then you could understand what is and what can be and what should be.
Right.
So we're really focused, particularly with this new product, Incident Analyzer, in giving you, the crime analyst, tools to not only understand what occurred, but ultimately influence what can be. So that involves analysis, visualizing the data in different ways,
right.
looking at even things like the response time. How long did it take from a phone call being made to a police officer actually being deployed in field in order to respond to a crime? And every police department's effort is to reduce that average response time so that officers can in fact be deployed much sooner and ultimately save lives and protect lives.
Also, I believe Hexagon is focusing on smart city projects in India. What more can you tell us on that front?
Great, yep. There's a lot of activity with regards to smart cities. Smart cities is a very broad topic.
Right, of course, yeah.
If you look at smart cities, you can focus on several things, at least things we're focused on. Safe city. So that's where we look at public safety and security. You could look at smart transportation, how to leverage and how to manage traffic. And that's where you start getting sensor fusion with video surveillance, with traffic lights, road network management, infrastructure management, asset management, bridges, roads, pipes, utilities. Then you start looking at smart meter, utility networks, how is power used? So smart city is a very broad topic, and we're involved in every aspect of that topic because we deliver the software needed to map a city in 3 dimensions, but also then analyze and produce solutions that leverage that 3D data in order to build smart applications. And we most recently launched a new platform called Smart Map,
right.
which is m.app, delivering apps for smart cities so that citizens with e-governance and so forth can be engaged in a smart city, because that's effectively the goal of a smart city, to support citizen engagement and to improve the life of citizens within that city.
India is also a very dynamic country. There's always, infrastructure is always being changed. There's new roads, there's new highways being constructed. From a data perspective, do you think that's a challenge or an opportunity?
I think it's an opportunity. With a lot of change, you require a lot of data.
Right, of course.
With a lot of data, you then have the big data problem, right? You have so much data, how do you know what data to use for what particular application or use case? We see that as an opportunity because in order to use that data's got to be managed.
Right.
Hence the cloud, where we have the ability to manage a lot of data and ultimately the ability to serve that data, or at least deliver that data through analytics to different users who have different needs with that data. We definitely see that as an opportunity, and a country like India that's experiencing so much positive change, new data is always being collected from space, from the air, from the ground. All that data needs to come together, and we see that as an opportunity not only to collect the data, but to also deliver applications and solutions that use that data to support different solutions.
The big data, it's something of a catch-all term. I mean, from the perspective of its partnership with the GIS, I mean, what can you tell us on that? Is that a bright future we're looking at? I mean, do they both complement each other?
Absolutely. I think big data is much bigger than GIS.
Right.
When we talk about big data, it ranges from being able to, let's say, fly over, satellites are continuously flying over India and collecting new data. These data sets are huge. Yeah. Okay, we're not talking about social media feeds. We're talking about petabytes, terabytes of content being collected. Add on top of that all the social media data, utility data, all sorts of, when you put it all together, that's really big data. And analytics really is critical because with analytics, you have the ability to pull the necessary data needed in order to run processing capabilities and downstream information services. big data for us is more than just GIS or geospatial. It's location, anything that has to do with location, because you have to tie it down to location, and we see that as a huge opportunity.
Now, India has drafted the Geospatial 2016 referendum bill. How do you think that, if it does get passed, how do you think that will impact India's national security? Should we be concerned?
India is at that cusp right now in its history of making decisions regarding, data availability, data privacy, how is data used. We look at data as an opportunity.
Right.
Okay. And when you make decisions regarding the usage of data, and particularly privacy associated with data, you can err on the side of caution and have fear direct your decisions, or you look at opportunity.
Right.
I'm more of an optimist. I look at opportunity. If we look at other countries around the world where open data standards have been deployed, certainly not all data is open. There certainly has to be some level of scrutiny and caution. But I think moving towards a society where data can be made available to the public to support citizen engagement will open up many, many, many more opportunities to bolster an economy, to have new companies, to bolster a society where citizens become engaged in the use of that data and really experience and participate in not only in the city but in the nation, in growing that nation. And I think open data and using data is a very critical step towards that path.
I think we'll leave it there on that positive note.
Okay,
but
great.
Mr. Stojic, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
We really appreciate it,
Thank
and
you.
enjoy your trip to India. Thank you so much.
Thank you.